I'm Kevin Reese with Firefield. I'm going to show you how to clean an AR15 today. We're going to use the new Firefield AR15 cleaning kit. For a quick, fast cleaning, this is a perfect setup, and we're going to show you how to do it. Let's get started. First thing we're going to do when we're cleaning an AR is I've got to break it down. So we're going to show you how to break this thing down to get ready to clean. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure this bolt is home, and then I'm going to pop out the takedown clip pins. We're going to separate the upper and lower receivers. When I do that, I can pull the charging handle and bolt carrier out, set it down, and pull the charging handle and set it down. And then I'm ready to clean the upper. On the lower, really the only thing left to take out of here is going to be the buffer and the buffer spring. So I'm going to compress this buffer retaining pin right here, and I'm going to keep force on the back of the buffer, pushing it back against the stock so it releases slowly, and I'm going to pull the buffer and the spring out and separate those. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dismantle the bolt carrier group. The first thing I'm going to do when I do that is I'm going to pull the firing pin retaining pin out. There we go. Then I'm drop the firing pin out. And then I'm going to take this cam pin right here. I've got to rotate it 90 degrees. Pull the cam pin out. And that releases the bolt. So I'm going to pull the bolt out. There's one last part of this that you can do it if you're comfortable with breaking down bolt carrier groups. You can also take this firing pin and push in right here on this extractor retaining pin here and pull that pin out. And pull your extractor apart. Just depends on how far down you want to go in the bolt carrier. So we've got the bolt carrier group apart. So now we're ready to clean the AR15 components as well as the upper and lower receivers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the handle from the AR15 gun cleaning kit, and I'm going to thread this push rod on here. And the kit does come with 308 and 223 bore brushes, bore mops, and chamber brushes. I'll pull these out so you can see them. And these are the mops. And what I'm going to use right now is I'm going to use the chamber brush for 223. And the cleaning kit does come with a solvent bottle. I put hops number 9 in here. I'm just going to put some solvent on the bore brush here. And I'm just going to work into the star chamber. Just work it in and out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bore snake. So run a bore brush through there first, the 223. The bore snake is a steel cable, however it's coated. All the fittings is brass, so it's a softer metal than the barrel, so you don't have to worry about doing any damage to the rifling of your barrel. Pour some more solvent in here. When you work this through, you always want to work it through the direction of your bullet travel. I've got that pulled in there. I can use this as a handle. And when I do that, I'm literally just going to slide it through, move it over to the center, and now it's a handle. Pull the bore brush through. Now I'm going to switch to the slotted tip, and I'm going to pull a pad out. So I'm going to fold the pad over on itself so I have 360 degrees of pad. Some solvent on here. I'm going to run this through, and then I'm going to run some dry patches through. And I'm going to run some dry patches through. I usually run, maybe 3 dry patches through. Fold it over on itself again. That's one. There's 2, we're getting cleaner. I'll run 3 through here, but the truth is you should run patches through here until there's no more dirt or carbon or anything on the pad. It is getting a lot cleaner. We'll stop messing with the upper for a little bit. I think that's going to work just fine. Now we're going to use the brush here. I'm going to add some more solvent to it. I'm going to take it off safe, and I'm going to hold the hammer down, let the trigger go, and I'm just going to scrub around here. I'm going to end up drying a lot of this out too. I don't want to leave this in here and gunk it up. I'm going to put that hammer back down there. Now I move on to the small parts here. I do clean the buffer and spring. I just squirt a little solvent on there. And I'll take this little brush and I'm just going to scrub it while I'm rotating it. Go back the other way. And I'll wipe it down. And I'll actually want a very light coat of CLP, and I can do that later. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the buffer. Now wipe it down. I do the same thing with the charging handle. Put some solvent down the channel there. Scrub that with the brush. Now wipe that down. Alright, now we get to the bolt carrier group. A little trickier. When I work with the extractor, I'm pretty careful to hold on to that little rubber O-ring right there in the spring so I don't lose it. I'm going to use a smaller brush for the smaller details. Wipe it down. Next I'll do the cam pin. When I do the cam pin, I literally just hold up my palm. Put some solvent on there. Rub that with the brush. I'm going to wipe that down. The extractor pin, not a whole lot you can do there. I want to just try and get any loose carbon off of it, so I'm actually going to use the little brush. Wipe that off. Firing pin, retaining pin, same thing. I'm going to wipe that off. The firing pin, if you don't clean your rifle off enough, you get a lot of carbon buildup on this. This one's actually pretty good because we take care of our stuff. Same thing with this one. Just use that brush and just scrub it. Pay special attention to the ridges. So what I do is I just take that brush and I'll hold it and I just turn it. Same thing on the other side. Clean that off. There we go. We get to the bolt. Scrub the bolt face and the lugs. And it didn't look that dirty to begin with, but it's got a lot of junk in there. I'm going to clean this off and I'm going to check one more thing, and that's your gas rings. You have these little gas rings right here, and they have little slots in them. You just want to make sure that these slots in the gas rings are not lined up. So you just want to separate them a little bit, just like that. Now we're going to work on the bolt carrier. We're just going to scrub. Smaller areas, we can switch over to the smaller brush. And wipe that down. And that's it. Now it's clean. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this thing back together. We're going to start with the extractor. And lay the extractor back down. I'm going to compress it with my finger and line up the holes. And put the extractor retaining pin back in there, so that's good. Now we're going to put the bolt back in here. Rotate it until the holes are lined up for the cam pin, and I'm going to drop the cam pin back down in there. And I'm going to turn it 90 degrees and pull the bolt out. And I'm going to put my hand around it, and I'm going to drop the firing pin down in there. There we go, the firing pin's in there. Make sure it's seated all the way down. One thing I learned in boot camp, make sure you drop your firing pin in there before your firing pin retaining pin, because if you don't, you'll get yourself in a lot of trouble. Drop your firing pin retaining pin in there, your bolt carrier is back together. So we're going to take the charging handle, slide it back into the upper. I'm going to leave it part of the way out so that I can slide the gas key up underneath in the bolt carrier group. That's assembled now. I'm going to take the buffer and the buffer spring and I'm going to assemble those again. Push those back down into the stock tube until it's retained by the buffer retaining pin. Here we go. Now we're ready to assemble the upper and lowers together. So I'll take the rag, just wipe away anything extra. Make it look nice and pretty. And that's it. And when I'm done, I just pack everything back up in this pretty compact, convenient little case. It even has straps so you can attach it to really any part of your kit or backpack. You can attach it to MOLLE straps, anything really. One of the things I really do like about the star chamber cases here is that they're form fitted. Obviously, if you have a cleaning kit at home, man, these star chamber brushes, when you go to pick them up and manipulate them, they'll just wear your fingers out. The only thing I didn't use are the mops. I don't use them too much, but if I just want to quit cleaning, if I'm on the range or something like that, I'm trying to get some debris out of the barrel, I might run a mop through there. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to learn more, go to www.fire-field.com. That's fire-field.com.